It's time to level up your documentation experience. It's time to level up from Word to FrameMaker for your technical documentation. Let's take a few minutes to talk a bit about Adobe FrameMaker and what it can do. FrameMaker is the gold standard in both creating and delivering content. FrameMaker lets authors and publishers work without limits. They create multilingual content, knowing every document, every paragraph, every table, cross-reference, footnote, every word and image can be written, designed, published, and shared with the world in any language, and they do so with one tool. Publishing to PDF for sharing in online or print formats is a click away. While other tools claim they can create professional-grade PDF, none do it with the speed, integrity, or dependability of FrameMaker. We also know that publishing is more than just PDF. Out of the box, we also let you distribute content across mobile devices, regardless of screen size, resolution, or brand. Content can be converted to web-ready content, including dynamic HTML5 that adapts, on the fly, to any phone, tablet, or desktop. No limits in authoring and publishing extends into the use of unstructured and structured content as well. Both types of content have benefits and drawbacks. Advocates of either will highlight the shortfall of one and highlight the benefit of the other. Adobe believes in communication. That means we support both in one tool. Highly organized content that follows semantic markup, or richly formatted content that is based on the way human conversation can ebb and flow. What if one tool gave you both and the chance to mix and match as needed? Create one set of richly formatted content, organized formally or informally, convert between the two, and publish both into one delivery with FrameMaker. Adobe FrameMaker is about working faster and smarter. Use every resource available to you to the best of your capabilities. Author quickly. Publish broadly. If you use structured content, we can work with any XML specification, including DITA. Every content type can be published to HTML5, mobile apps, PDF, EPUB formats, and many more. It's super powerful, and it's super fast. The types of people who use FrameMaker are as varied as the types of languages we support, formats we can create, and companies we work with. What they have in common is the need to create high-quality, professional content. Regardless of the title or output, the common thread between users is that their legacy tools leave them wanting more. Software should empower the user. Technical information has complexities that communicators need to explain, and if they are hindered by software, the best message isn't delivered. If managers spend all their time dealing with problems around tools and technologies, they cannot put time and effort into building great information teams. Planning and organizing, developing standards, and developing and designing content means that the right tool can make the job quicker, but it can also make sure the results of the job are more accurate and consistent. Online output shouldn't mean working with code every step of the way. A visual and powerful way to convert content to HTML5 and other online formats is a must. Anyone who creates and communicates information needs to use the right tool. That may mean the engineer, manager, writer, author, strategist, or subject matter expert. It could be a formal day-to-day user of the tool or a casual contributor. What the ideal user of FrameMaker looks like is as broad and varied as the content they create. Any content that has to explain and showcase complex ideas, step-by-step instructions, regulatory materials, sales collateral, manuals, bulletins, white papers, and so much more can be created by FrameMaker. People use it every day to create documents that help people find the help content they need in online and print formats, create handbooks to guide employees, answer questions, define company policies and procedures, or provide instructions in user guides to get people started on the path to success. API and SDK documentation, visually rich and graphically heavy catalogs, documentation for software, hardware, or all of these can be created with one tool. If you work in medical, automotive, pharmaceutical, aerospace, or other regulatory environments where compliance is a must, then FrameMaker is a given. It's up to the most demanding of regulatory needs. Supporting customers, troubleshooting problems, or just talking about standard operating procedures are simple to do with the right tools. And if you do need standards-compliant content, such as an airline service manual or a formal test, we have clients doing that type of work right now. Requests for information, formal proposals, and even complex legal content used by the highest courts in the world are touched by FrameMaker every day. Really, the issue is not what FrameMaker can create, but what you decide to use it for. Any document, any device, any language. Don't let your tools hold back your ability to grow as a business. There are definite benefits to FrameMaker, and if you are still using Microsoft Word to create the types of documents you see here, it's time to change the conversation. It's time to level up to Adobe FrameMaker. Let's talk about what really differentiates FrameMaker and Word. Even more importantly, let's discuss a bit about why you should be leveling up to FrameMaker. For starters, FrameMaker is the tool of choice for complex technical documentation. Word and FrameMaker, two software tools that may have people asking, which do I need, because they think they are similar. They are, in much the same way that a minivan and a transport truck are similar. Both are vehicles with engineered components and used to move content from one environment to another. Word and FrameMaker are similar. Both are software tools, engineered, and move content from the writer's world to the consumer's world. However, just like two similar-seeming vehicles have massively different audiences and purposes, so too do these tools. If Word is like a collection of every minivan there is, FrameMaker is an entire fleet of trucks. Heck, it can be an entire factory that can turn out any type of truck you need. FrameMaker can be a family minivan, but it can also be an electrician's cargo van, farmer's cube van, or a 12-seat airport shuttle van. The base is of such quality that you can use it to build a pickup truck or an SUV. It can be more than just a van because it's really more like a fleet of trucks. It can be a moving truck, cement mixer, mobile crane, refrigerated truck, tanker truck, or almost any vehicle from a professional utility van through to the newest prototype electric rig. This truck scales, has broader capabilities, and is built from the chassis up to be dependable, reliable, and professional. Comparing FrameMaker and Word is a bit like comparing that family minivan with any professional-grade vehicle. At a glance, they may seem similar, but when you dive in and look at the quality of the components, the thinking behind the engineering, or the types of people who use them every day, the differences are major. One is a day-to-day tool for the average user plodding along and fighting with formats, numbers, design, layout, tables, and generally any content that has to be created. The other is FrameMaker. It's a professional-grade product that can be tailored to the needs of experts who are trained well and working in a professional career. Word is created for people who need a simple day-to-day author tool. It was developed over the years to replace a typewriter and then to add in layout and design features. It does what it does relatively well, but when people expect it to be more than a text and basic design tool, then the problems begin. Sure, if you need software that was built to replace a typewriter and you want to create smaller, simpler documents with some layout, then Word does the trick. It allows tables to be created, images to be inserted, and design to be applied, but it's almost always done either in a restricted template, heavily controlled by teams of developers, and uses scripting to restrict or enable functions. Layout work with Word means compromise. It uses heavy amounts of third-party plugins to enable publishing, numbering, conditional content, content reuse, or other functions that are native to FrameMaker. Standardized support for templates is weak when it comes to enforcement. Users have the ability to create messy formatting overrides everywhere at the click of one of many, many, many buttons, and this is done all the time. Adding bold, resizing up and down, tabs to center-align content. Users believe they know how to use Word, but if you deconstruct almost any source file, you will find manual overrides, inconsistent formats, unlimited and liberal use of the empty paragraph, tab stop, and spacebar as format functions, and numerous patches to make it do what we want. Word plays an ongoing game with users of, you know what you want, but I, the almighty Microsoft Word, will auto-tune that for you based on what I think you actually want. As you have seen, that game ends poorly for users. Word also has no native XML standards integration with DITA, S1000D, DocBook, or other professional standards used in many industries to create interchangeable information, standard formats, and professional output. If you need to work with any XML standards, you need third-party tools. Lastly, once a document is set and ready to publish, users try to send the Word file to print. Sometimes it's almost what you want it to be. Most times it repaginates, moves images, changes numbering, mismatches the index or table of contents, messes up headers and footers, and completely ruins the printing. If you save it as a PDF, you might have better luck, but even that is prone to the same errors. As for HTML, apps, e-readers, or any major publish-ready format, forget about it. Word really tries. It wants to be everything to everyone by opening the format and creation of content to anyone who wants to work with the tool. Any user can sit down, open Word, and spend the day creating content, formatting it, and distributing it. Or at least try. The bigger issues come into play the moment any of that content is to be shared, reused, reformatted, reorganized, renumbered, republished, or rewritten. Anything, and Word starts to fall apart. The soul-saving grace that people think Word has, oh look, it's for everyone, is the very weakness of Word. FrameMaker is created for and used by people as a day-to-day professional-grade communications tool. It is a desktop publishing tool, word processing tool, templates-based standards tool, and provides the features needed to create best-in-class content in almost any format. It laughs at complex and technical materials and, with ease, allows tables to be created, images to be inserted, and design to be applied. And it does so with a template that can be built and managed by a single user, even in corporations with hundreds or even thousands of authors. While third-party developers can create plugins to enable additional features, the core feature set is enough to do almost anything that the day-to-day FrameMaker author needs. Publishing, numbering, conditional content, content reuse, these are all native to FrameMaker. Standard templates support content interchange between files through easy enforcement of standard formats. While users could create overrides, it is difficult to retain them. With a single pass through a menu, all format overrides can be stripped away. Formats are far more standard in application. Users need to know how to use FrameMaker, but once they use it right, you can deconstruct almost any source file and see that there are minimal overrides, inconsistent formats, empty paragraphs, or tab and spacebar-driven formatting. Patches are rarely slapped on a document to make it work because FrameMaker does as it is told. FrameMaker takes an almost opposite gaming mindset where it says, hey, it's me, FrameMaker, and I will never auto anything just because. I will, however, simply do expressly what the template and author tell me to do. This may frustrate you at times because you must build the template right. However, you reap the rewards when the template is right because it is dependable and consistently right across dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of pages. The game ends well, and the user beats the system every time because the user, author, or template developer puts time into setting it up so that it does what is wanted, rather doing what the software thinks you mean. Let's not forget that FrameMaker has support for DITA, S1000D, DocBook, or any XML standard either built in or supported via existing workflows. If you have a custom structure, it may take some work. If you have a standard like DITA, then the majority of the effort is content conversion and setup of the templates, but you don't need to write new code, buy third-party tools, or redevelop all your content and templates. Lastly, publishing to almost any major format from PDF to HTML5 to ebook, or even conversion to an app is included. You don't hope that the plugin vendor you dealt with last month is in business this month. You don't double and triple check your output to ensure colors are correct, headers and footers match content, links between files work, or any of the other mess you run into with Word. You create, you publish. That's it. FrameMaker never has claimed to be the everything to everyone, but instead continues an unassuming but powerful role as the tool for professionals. If you need to create, format, and distribute content, FrameMaker has you covered. If you then need to take that content and share, reuse, reformat, reorganize, renumber, republish, or even rewrite it, FrameMaker has you covered. Anything, and FrameMaker gives you a pat on the back and says, "Sure, we got this. Let's work together to make it happen." Let's explore the day-to-day world of Word. A user often opens the software, creates a new document, and fires it off to a reviewer. The process is usually to select File, then New, click on a template, and write content. It's often stream of consciousness material or lightly organized using the outline view. Maybe styles like Heading 1, Heading 2, and Heading 3 are used. Content is written, buttons clicked to make things number or bullet in appearance. Bold and italic are applied to words to make them stand out. Some documents are just 2 or 3 pages long. Others are much longer and could end up dozens of pages in length. When a publication is to exceed hundreds of pages, the Word source files start to get split up into sections or groups that are managed because, well, we don't trust Word to a page count over 50. It gets interesting when we try to open the pages, scroll through the images, update the equations, or generally do work with a large document. Images are created and copied right into the file. Larger documents include a table of contents or an index, but it's for the single file, not for 10 documents, each of which is 20, 30, 50, or 100 pages in length. Links between information are written as "see the table below" or "refer to Figure 3." When links are created, it's done with a hope and a prayer that the links will work if the content grows in size. Cross-references point to Figure 2, Table 17, or even to other chapters or external destinations. But in every case, you either review them repeatedly at publishing time, or you just type them in manually and hope that when you said Chapter 3 on page 42, it really is on page 42 when all is said and done, and that it is still Chapter 3. When a heading doesn't look right or text needs to stand out, it's selected and then the toolbar buttons come back into play. Font size is toggled up or down to make text fit. Clicking the bold, italic, or even both buttons helps make content stand out. Using the highlighter or formatting that text to be green, blue, or red makes it stand out. The formats start with great intentions. The use of Heading 1 and Heading 2 is great, but sometimes you want to change the space above a paragraph when it's at the top of a page and add an extra ½ inch above it. Or you find a heading stranded at the bottom of a page, so you put in an empty return to bounce it ahead. While you're at it, the color blue is nice, but maybe you want headings to stand out. What do? You highlight it and make the blue a bit darker on the screen so it matches the look of the company logo on the website. Of course, when Word publishes it, uses a color model that won't match, and your PDF content won't adhere to what marketing wants anymore. Content doesn't fit on a page? No problem. Select it all, size it a bit smaller, and then the 9.3-point body content fits. Of course, the template standard was 12-point text. Oh, and that legal statement is pretty lengthy, so people jump in and edit it down to tighten it up. Some of the content is for both the advanced and novice user, so people update it with extra text. Mac or Windows? Let's add more content to cover both of them. If the materials are for both our base product line and our top-of-the-line tools, we can just mix that in. What used to be a paragraph or two becomes a page, and what was once a page grows into a chapter. Instead of providing users with what they need, you end up providing them with a bit of everything you can remember. Now you have dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of pages and files mixed with content for everyone, and you end up with everything for no one. You cannot extract for a given audience, platform, product, or for any other mix of delivery you need. With that much of a mix, you can hardly publish the materials either. You create a PDF, but it's got way too much in it. You port the content into InDesign for publishing, copy and paste the content one hopes is right to the web, and you outsource to someone to create your ebooks and apps. When the end of the day, week, month, quarter, or fiscal year arrives, you wonder how you manage to blow through your budget so quickly and still either fail to meet deadlines or push back project release dates. With Word, you also hand off everything to everyone. That is, when you create content that is to be used by people on a Mac or Windows machine, you might write instructions for both and pepper your content with, on a Mac, use the Finder, and on a Windows machine, use the Explorer. Or for novice and expert users, you add in Pro Tip throughout, leaving new users wondering if they'll ever get up to speed. This also adds more and more content to your file, increases content complexity for the reader, and drives up your total word count very quickly. In many cases, you even end up maintaining multiple unique versions of the same content in multiple files. Every document needs to be reviewed when a safety warning changes or a procedure updates because there is no cohesive reuse plan that identifies what is reused, where, or why. Then your legal and risk management teams crack down to ensure there is no disconnect between what is in print, online, or included with your product or service guides. The result is horrible: messed up, outdated, incorrect, and plain out wrong content. Add to that people complaining about content complexity because you hand them 100,000 words and 10,000 pages. Of course, along the way, you have to share content with others. Word reformats and page layout is all over the place. People add comments, use track changes, overwrite and overrule each other, and all that time the writers try to track who suggests what, where, and when, and why. Reviews end up becoming matches between teams with people shouting over each other in a single digital file until something cracks. Either multiple files begin to exist, or content is inserted and deleted over and over, or it gets impossible to manage the review. They are complaining because they are buried in content, none of which is managed, and not a word of it has been created with a cohesive strategy behind it. You have put your time, people, budget, and effort into a mix of effort where the result might be a team who says, "But we really tried hard," which they did. However, they tried to make a typewriter that is great for smaller documents, form letters, cover letters, resumes, reports, and documents that are created for a small audience do the work of a professional tool. It's the equivalent of using a family minivan to move your 4-bedroom home across the city. Regardless of the effort they put into packing the van and moving all their memories and belongings, at some point they start to wish someone hired movers or rented a proper moving van. Movers know that using a van isn't a great idea. Boxes won't all fit at once, the mattresses, fridge, and your grandparents' buffet won't even fit in at all. That time they spend in packing and putting boxes in the van, filling up with gasoline over and over, finding parking, and unpacking boxes, never mind carrying things up and down the stairs or through doors that barely open wide enough, is lost opportunity and wasted resources. Using a van, they waste your weekends, alienate clients and their own friends and family, and they haven't even started to empty the garage or the basement. Wouldn't it have been nice to have a moving van? Do the job right the first time. Failure to use the right tools impacts the moving business. In no time, staff turnover rates climb. No one wants to drive that van or listen to the issues and complaints from clients. Productivity plummets, and costs continue to climb due to short-term thinking. The van may have been cheap to begin with, but after 6 months or a year, the business is in trouble. No matter how many vans they buy, how brightly they paint them, how many staff they have, and no matter what they tell clients, they are in trouble. The solution is to have a strategy, use professional tools, train staff, reward staff, and improve processes and workflows to make the work efficient. That solution can come from getting people to work with FrameMaker. The day-to-day world of a FrameMaker user seems similar at first. The software is launched, content worked with, review cycles started. However, the approach to both content creation and to the writing differ greatly. FrameMaker users almost exclusively work with clearly defined templates. Content is created using tags like Heading 1, Heading 2, and others. Content is planned and outlined with a clear documentation plan that should be followed. Formatting of numbers and bullets are defined with tags as well. If there is a logical reason for words to stand out, they are defined and assigned tags as well. Character-level formats are used extensively with semantic markup of a menu item, a dialogue title, or a product name. Documents might be a page or two in length, or could easily be dozens or technically even hundreds of files in length. However, larger documents are split apart into chapters, appendices, sections, or other logical units and managed effectively in a book document. Managing dozens or hundreds of files with thousands of pages containing numbered paragraphs, figures, equations, cross-references, conditions, and much more is part of FrameMaker's DNA, and it's done with no hassle. Images are created and referenced right into the file, linking to the source image. The same graphic file could be used as often as required, and when the source updates, FrameMaker shows the most current version. No more re-importing images when you update them. Larger documents are easy to manage, and when you do want to include a table of contents or an index, you do it once in a book, and every file in the book is referenced correctly. Links between information are inserted as cross-references, and these links will work if the content grows in size every time. Cross-references point to Figure 2, Table 17, or even to other chapters or external destinations, and you know they will correctly update at publishing time. If the reference says Chapter 3 on page 42, it really is in Chapter 3 on page 42 when all is said and done. If that chapter is moved to the end of the book, FrameMaker updates the reference automatically to read Chapter 23 on page 99. When a heading doesn't look right or text needs to stand out, then either the heading is reformatted in the template and applied to all the documents as needed, or the content is selected and a correct tag applied. On a paragraph or a single character level, formats are assigned from catalogs, not by using buttons on a toolbar. While FrameMaker has these buttons, users avoid them whenever possible. Proper training insists that tags be used. If heading colors, fonts, or sizes change, if alignment or spacing of paragraphs are updated, or if the look of a word representing a menu, keyword, or button are updated, it is done in a template and imported to all files in a book. FrameMaker also has a deep color library and can be optimized so that your PDF or outline content truly matches the corporate standards. If content doesn't fit on a page, then it should be edited, revised, and professionally managed to either fit or to allow the page count to extend, not reformatted on a whim to ensure page count is even. FrameMaker also supports content reuse natively. If legal has a standard statement, it can be imported as a referenced source and prevent authors from changing it. Approved content remains as intended. If content applies to more than one audience or more than one platform or product, you can use conditional content to flag it as applying in one publishing scenario but not another. While a source document may end up with 2 or 3 pages of material in it, with perhaps 50%, 60%, or 90% of it the same, you can mix content. When ready to review or publish, you can show and hide conditions to allow a document to display only content you know is relevant to the reader. However, as an author or a reviewer, you have one set of materials to manage, edit, review, translate, and approve. That single source makes it easy to deliver what is needed for a given audience, platform, product, or for any other mix of delivery you need. Publishing is part of what FrameMaker was designed for. You don't need to export to another tool to create great PDF. Define the formats, display the conditions you need, and save it as the industry's best PDF. The same file can be natively saved as an ebook, an app for iOS or Android, or as HTML5 and several other formats, and is immediately ready to share. You know exactly what you can create, how long it takes to publish, and you can depend on the software to ensure you meet your deadlines regardless of page count. The content you deliver is exactly what is relevant to the reader as well. So no more 10,000-page deliveries of a document set for both Windows and Apple, novice and advanced users, light and full versions of products. You can instead deliver the Windows Novice Intro document set to one user type and the Apple Novice Lite to another. And of course, you also get a full set of materials for the Windows Novice Full, Windows Advanced Intro, and every other combination of materials from one source of files. Each set of materials may contain dozens of chapters and hundreds of files, but every word is specifically written to relate to the reader. Nothing is wasted or off topic. Going further, you can allow people browsing on a website to dynamically filter only what they want. They toggle for the Windows or Mac version and on the fly can see what matters to them. You can reuse content from one source. You can reuse a warning, writing it once and embedding it where it is needed. The same with any procedure or any content. Create it, insert it as a linked source, and when you update it in one place, it's updated everywhere it's used. Template updates can be dynamically applied, automatically, and at the time of publishing. Update the company standard? Sure, bring it on. No more wondering if the user guide, admin guide, website, app, and any other location people look to for information is accurate in content or in appearance. It is. The end. Legal, risk, training, management, and anyone else involved in a project can rest easy knowing content is current and accurate. Your content consumers love you because you deliver what they need, when they need it, in the format they need. You are able to do this because it is all managed, planned, and created with a cohesive strategy behind it. You have put your time, people, budget, and effort into the right effort, where the result is a team who says, "We worked smarter," which they did. Rather than bringing a typewriter to the content battle, they showed up armed with the right process, a plan, and the tool they need to implement it all. They are able to create professional business content. They aren't writing smaller one-off documents. Although, technically, FrameMaker could be used to write cover letters, resumes, reports, and other smaller 1- or 2-page documents, but are creating content that is complex, rich, and targeted to the reader. Of course, along the way, you have to share content with others. To do so, you can convert your source file to PDF and share it with people who can use the free Adobe Reader to add comments. These can be imported back to FrameMaker and implemented. You have discrete content from each person, a clear understanding of what they want, where it needs to change, and a way to clearly track who suggested a change, where it was suggested, and why it was or wasn't implemented. Think about the moving analogy. They are now using a fleet of modern vehicles, built using the combined experience of lessons learned over the years. They have professionals packing content lovingly into boxes, drivers who have dedicated lanes on the highway, and the best practices to ensure that everything a person needs to have delivered arrives on time and in the same shape they expected it to be in. As a matter of fact, after the move and unpacking is done, they even set the time on the microwave oven, feed the dog, and make the beds. Everything arrives as expected, and the customer experience leaves a feeling of deep satisfaction. Using the right tools impacts the moving business. In no time, staff satisfaction levels climb. Why wouldn't it when the trucks are air-conditioned on hot days, clients tell you how they love the service, and you hear success related to the work you do? Productivity climbs, and costs continue to be effectively managed due to long-term thinking. The moving trucks may have been pricier to begin with, but after 6 months or a year, the business is in the black and generating revenue. No matter how many clients they acquire, how they manage custom branding, or what new markets they grow into, the business is on the path to success. We'll close out with the exact same statement we closed with in regards to the previous tool. The solution is to have a strategy, use professional tools, train staff, reward staff, and improve processes and workflows to make the work efficient. That solution does come from how people work with FrameMaker. FrameMaker supports standards-based content built on a formal infrastructure. If you need to use any XML-based standard, such as S1000D, military standards, DocBook, or the most common structured format in documentation today, DITA, the only choice is FrameMaker. Word just isn't up to the task. If it can't even handle layout, design, content reuse, standard formats, or just numbering, don't count on it to allow you to work with any XML standard unless you put a lot of time, effort, and money into development. Even then, Word will likely collapse around you. Structured authoring means following rules for content. For example, a topic may have a specific set of elements for authors to use. They may need to create a title, add a short description of the document, and in the body of the content include paragraphs, images, tables, examples, sections, or other logical units of information. However, with a structured document, they must follow rules for order or frequency of information. Consider a standard for procedures. The procedure may have a formal order that needs to be followed and might even be evaluated. The prerequisite has formal components such as the power state of a device, the number of people needed to safely move heavy equipment, or the experience level required before performing an action. In the same way, the steps may only be allowed after an optional or required prerequisite. This ensures that the information about the power state, people needed, or experience is formally discussed in the content before the first step is written. A set of steps may require a specific call to action, the command, and only after the command can optional additional information, substeps, or an example be added. Once this is done, and only at the very end of a step, could a step result be inserted. This consistency ensures content follows a standard order, that no one writes 3 results for a single step, or that there are other limits on the types of information that can be added. Lastly, you could even decide that a task requires a minimum of 2 steps, or that a step must always contain an example. The formal rules can be defined with required or optional elements. Let's wrap up the author process by deciding the task has a post-requisite and that links to other topics of interest only appear after this information. Now we have a standard place for information, authors know where to find or post information, readers get a consistent experience. Everyone wins. You can also validate the information through programming to scan dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of documents for accuracy. This allows you to instantly identify content errors, for example, a step with information in the wrong order, or a task that is missing a prerequisite. The validation also helps if rules change later. Imagine having an optional component in a prerequisite related to the power status of a mechanical device. You now want to ensure it is required in all cases. The rules change, But how could you find that across thousands of files? With structure, you can validate the files, identify the missing content, and put a work order in place to fix the 138 instances that are returned. That saves you time, money, and again, it manages the risk of incomplete or incorrect content being published and distributed. The appearance of content is also automatic. When a section is promoted or demoted, all the headings automatically reformat, for example, heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3. If a list is moved from a third level to a first level, the bullet symbols could dynamically reformat as a dash list. When numbered sections, tables, images, or any content is moved around, the numbering updates automatically. Additionally, since all the structured content flows into standard templates, you can redefine the page layout, corporate branding, use an OEM version of a template, or apply global changes to every single piece of information in seconds. No need to manually review any content for deviance from the required standards. The format is automatically applied, and it's correct every time. Sharing information between documents, teams, with suppliers or customers is also easy with structured content. The content can be loaded into a content management system, made available for web-based reviews, embedded in an application, a web page, or print-ready PDF with everyone and everything interconnected to the single source of truly approved content. No looking for files in email messages, across multiple servers, on USB drives, or through various backups. Sharing of content should be simple, intuitive, and easy to manage, and with structured content, this is the case. As an added bonus, you can share the XML files with your translation vendor as well, and through effective reuse, only translate the content that is changed or new, dramatically lowering the cost of translation and increasing accuracy and clarity. As far as publishing goes, you can convert structured content into almost anything you can imagine. XML is made up of standard notations that can be converted in bulk through programming into PDF, HTML5, converted to an app, prepared for an e-reader, or opened with a broad range of tools for many purposes. Publishing processes can also check for files that are flagged as ready to go and only include the content that has been approved or is final. No more accidentally publishing a draft, dated content, or something that hasn't yet been approved for release. FrameMaker doesn't just support one standard either. It supports any standard. As long as your XML is valid, the FrameMaker interface can be configured to import, edit, and export any XML. The support files for DITA, S1000D, and DocBook are already included and can be used as a guideline for creating any structural support configuration. We've supported SGML and XML for over 25 years and are a leader in innovation within this space. Let's take a few moments to summarize what we've discussed so far. FrameMaker is faster to get content to market because you don't waste time messing around with formats, can quickly reuse content such as images, fragments of content, topics, or even entire documents, keeps your translation costs lower, and is an overall more affordable solution when the total costs of ownership is calculated. The time-to-market savings are realized when authors can create content quicker, format the materials reliably and automatically, publish to multiple formats from one source, and can depend on their software to be stable and powerful. The reuse of content allows a single source to be created, reviewed, translated, shared, and published as needed. Accuracy increases, errors decrease, and customer satisfaction metrics make the case for the value of giving them the right information the first time around. No more mass translation of the same content or redefining the page layout for each language. Instead, localization costs fade away as content is reused, published dynamically, and the layout and design process is automated. The overall costs from day one are lower based on the increased accuracy, productivity, scalability, usability, and sharing of content. Writers can focus on creating, editing, and publishing content. Design is fast, publishing dynamic, and the reliability of FrameMaker is second to none. One powerful and robust software tool available as a standalone application or as part of the Adobe Technical Communications Suite. In either case, FrameMaker is a complete solution that can replace Microsoft Word for your documentation team. Once the decision is made that FrameMaker is the right tool, you need to explore potential next steps involving migration of your content to see how FrameMaker really works. This means several steps to ensure the Word content can become what FrameMaker will enable it to be. Due to the way that Word is designed and used, there are often overrides. They are simple to create and can be inserted even by the most seasoned of users. It can be as quick as pressing Ctrl-B in a template that doesn't connect the function to a style. It could be pressing Tab to indent or Backspace to exit a list. Insert a table, reformat it manually in one of many ways, and it's another override. Deviation from standards is how Word operates. You need to make time to clean up the source content if you can. The better your source content is, the easier it is to map content to FrameMaker. If your source is a strong template-based collection of content, the conversion can be simple. You connect the Word and FrameMaker styles and import content. If the source is not, then you need to clean the source, and you can do so via scripts. Styles can be applied, formats developed, and the conversion is smooth. The good news is that even if you don't have developers who know Word, you can use the Extend script in FrameMaker and clean up the content post-conversion. Either way, we make it simpler to convert content to FrameMaker so that the conversion is quick and you can start to realize the benefits of using a professional-grade author tool. As the Word source content is being cleaned up, you should also build a professional FrameMaker template. In doing so, you set page sizes, design the look and feel, configure the character, paragraph, and table tags, develop the cross-references or variables, and build the template to what your company needs. Along the way, you stay in touch with the Word content, import and test the results, and eventually have a matching set of rules to import content. During the import of content, almost every item you identified and mapped converts as you would hope. However, there are always additional things that come to light in a conversion of larger volumes of content. The import of content should be smooth, but remember to plan for the unexpected. Not every table, paragraph, or character format may be caught during the import. Review the imported content, be aware that exceptions may still exist, and during the review of the conversion, continue to develop workflows for cleanup. Update the content to the newest templates, and once you see the results you expect, it's time to publish. You can create multiple outputs from one source, and the correct use of FrameMaker tagging for all styles will allow you to create the best PDF, HTML5, or other output needed. If you decide to later migrate the content even further and convert your FrameMaker content to structured content to work with standards like DITA, you can even automate that based on the correct style use in the FrameMaker templates. Your path forward is better and clearer when you work with FrameMaker. It really doesn't matter what vertical you are in. We've got you covered. And we keep growing the A-list of companies. Of course, here at Adobe, we use FrameMaker, but in the past 12 months, we've added more clients. These are clients who need to create and manage powerful knowledge bases, share documentation with different audiences, working on multiple software and hardware platforms, and for a broad range of products. Every year, we continue to grow our client base. We add more and more name-brand businesses to the base of users of FrameMaker. It's not just the year-to-year growth that's impressive. It's the longer-term benefits that companies and users experience. Unlike Word, we see improved delivery time, greater accuracy, less overhead, and content delivered in new formats. Clients talk about improving the content quality, being more efficient, and developing new materials faster. Staff is happier, more productive, and focused on what makes the content they create a vital asset to their employer. We hear clients dropping Microsoft Word and instead using words like improved, quality, efficient, faster, savings. With clients in oil and gas, electricity generation, automotive, services, aerospace, manufacturing, computer software and hardware, finance, military, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, construction, telecommunications, networking, government, education, and many more, it's likely we've already replaced Microsoft Word in a company you work with. It's time to add your name to the growing list of businesses that succeed with Adobe FrameMaker. Level up. FrameMaker is the tool of choice for complex technical documentation. Once you decide to dive in and look at the quality of the components, the thinking behind the engineering, and the types of professionals who use FrameMaker every day, the decision to explore a FrameMaker-based solution should be a simple one. Opt to use a professional-grade tool tailored to the needs of experts in content. You owe it to yourself, your business, and your colleagues to level up to the evolution of professional technical communications.